Good evening. I'd like to call to order a regular scheduled meeting for August 22nd. Chris, can I get a roll call, please?
President Walls,
Here.
Commissioner Biedke,
Here.
Commissioner Carlson,
Here.
Commissioner Cook,
Here.
Commissioner O'Malley.
Here.
Okay, approval of minutes, August 8th, 2024, committee of the whole meeting, and August 8th, 2024, regular scheduled meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Hearing none opposed. Recognition of special guests. You brought your fan club. Irene Fasciano, the youth manager, come on up.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for having me. So as we transition into this new school year, I just wanted to take a moment to reflect on the incredible summer we just wrapped up. This year, we were thrilled to welcome over 529 campers to our various camps, where they enjoyed our facilities and parks, taking field trips, swimming, and participating in a wide range of organized activities. One of my favorite highlights of the summer was our new before and after care program over at Rainbow Falls, which was a hit and a great addition to our summer programming. Kids Club started at the end of July when Ridge returned to school, and on August 15th, we welcomed our other Elk Grove Village District 59 schools. Currently, we have 102 children enrolled in our before and after school program. Our team has worked really hard to ensure that every child, whether they were with us for summer or they are now part of Kids Club, has a fun and safe experience. Thank you to everyone who has played a part in making this summer and the start of this school year a success.
Any questions or comments? I would say 80% of the people in this room have had a child go through one of our camps. I would venture to say.
Yeah,
And going back as far as my kids, they were always awesome.
thank you. Yeah,
Thank you for what you do.
I appreciate it.
The
Thank you.
village appreciates it.
Well, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Have a good
Peter.
evening.
Okay, public communications, comments from the audience. All that I ask is, number one, because there's so many people and we have to keep a record, we don't need your address, we just do need your name so Francis can take the name down for the minutes. And then as best we can, I just try not to repeat what somebody else has said. If you have comments, I'll get to you, I promise. But if we could just keep it a little concise, it helps everybody else here. It sounds like there's gonna be quite a few comments, and I'm fine with it, that's what we're here for. But let's try not to duplicate over and over that same thought. So, having said that, Alan?
My name is Alan Kreitz. I read in the newspaper that Director Curcio said a member of his staff saw the plexiglass walls being used at a pickleball court in Florida and was told it was very effective at reducing sound for the gameplay. Who was this person?
Oh, Alan, I'm not sure we had anybody go down to Florida.
The director said he did.
So what,
Dustin Sneed.
oh, Dustin was down there. Oh, okay, so we do, so it was Dustin Sneath.
Who?
Dustin Sneath?
And what is his position here?
Well, he's a staff member, he's in charge of IT here, and he does a remarkable job.
It also said plexiglass walls have been used for sound deadening around courts in other parts of the country. Plexiglass is not an absorbent. It's a reflective.
Deflection.
Ours is tempered glass.
What
not
was that you said,
plexiglass.
sir?
A deflection. Ours isn't plexiglass, it's tempered glass. Not saying there's a
It
difference, but
doesn't absorb anything.
no, I don't know that we ever stated it absorbed, Alan. But I could be wrong, but it's deflection. So the company we're using,
It says walls have been used for sound deadening. It doesn't absorb anything. How can it deaden the sound?
I would agree with you, but it's an enclosed enclosure. So the only way it does is it does this, and the only way it can do is go up, not out.
I'm not impressed.
I understand, Alan.
Thank you.
You're more than welcome. Okay,
Well, my days.
we can start anywhere you want. Carrie, go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Carrie Ralph, and I wanted to address a couple of things. with the board and with the people who are here for softball, because I think there's a few misunderstandings here. We are not opposed to the girls having any or all equipment that they need for a successful softball program. Sorry, I'm a little bit nervous. I received an email yesterday that was forwarded to me that said that we don't want the fences because we don't want to look at them and because the girls can't hit over the fence. That's not entirely true. It's very limited response as to what happened here last week. First, there was no communication with the residents regarding any of the softball improvements to Mead Park. Softball was included in a conversation. A Chicago league that has over 18 students in the Park District were allowed to comment, but our neighborhood was not allowed to comment. That resulted in a 5-0 vote. Well, a 5-0 vote without all of the input from the neighborhoods, it doesn't seem like a fair way to do it to me. Additionally, the community survey, sorry, I'm gonna take a deep breath, proposed a survey to 427 Elk Grove residents. Those residents who answered said they're most interested in walking paths and nature areas, 70% and 60%. Athletic fields were listed as one of the areas of lowest importance at 19%. Why then would we consider building fences in an area that shares with the school and that borders a nature sanctuary? We have the walking paths, we have it. Why would we put fences there? As neighbors, we have been asking for the scope of the project. We have not received clear information from the staff. There was a complete lack of transparency. After we talked about the fences, we were told that was the scope of the project, and a couple weeks later, there were bobcats in our backyard installing 8x20 softball fences. So I'm sure that anybody on softball can appreciate if that was going through your backyard without any advance notice, you wouldn't appreciate that either, especially knowing that outside groups had input and you did not. We've asked for alternate locations for softball equipment, and we've been told that softball has always been played at Mead. It has, successfully, without lights, without scoreboards, and without fencing. The fencing is about 50 yards, or 50 feet off of my property. The property behind me is about 8 feet taller than mine, which makes it a 12-foot fence. It's not just about the aesthetics. We want the girls to have what they need and what they want for a successful program. We're suggesting that there's 16 other parks on the Elk Grove website, Elk Grove Park District website, that say they're for softball. Have we looked at any of those fields? I don't think the answer to that is yes. Tony's nodding his head, yes it is. I wouldn't know because we have not been told. Let's see what else. We think that CAF is a better place for it. Furthermore, there's been no discussion of parking. Right now, you have the school building and their facilities. Are we asking the school to let us use their parking when we're not letting them use the fields for gym and PE? There's 671 kids attending Mead, and they use the fields that will be enclosed by a fence every day in warm weather. There's 100 kids on cross country and 100 on track and field. Those are the most participated sports at Mead. When they have meets, there's 400 people easily in those fields. There's 4 meets scheduled for this year. In addition to that, the parking is a situation. Residents near Rainbow Falls and Windermere are often complaining that there's not an adequate parking situation. If you have school events, rentals to outside places, Elk Grove softball, Fountain Square Park, there's just not enough safe parking. So that's something else that I think that should be considered. So what my ask here is not that we deny the girls softball the equipment that they want, it's that we look at other places to do it where it's a better place. It's not sharing with the school and taking away from 671 kids who use that park every day, and not next to a nature sanctuary. Thank you.
Anybody else? Go ahead, Mike.
So,
Name, please. Just.
Mike Griffin, 51018.
Oh, yeah.
So I was here last week. I wasn't aware of the fence issue. I came to just see what all the board was about and everything. I saw everyone here, and I'll start by saying I don't have a dog in this fight. I clearly have friends on both sides of the issue, but what I wanted to do is just offer you a perspective, probably that I don't think most of you have. So In the last 4 weeks, I've actually umpired at that field the over 18 girls that you were talking about, okay? 2 weeks before the boards went up and 2 weeks after. All I'm gonna say is that if you have those boards, those scoreboards up in the places that they're up right now, and you don't have fences, you built a $50,000 ground rule double. You have an obstruction. As an umpire, if someone hits that ball into that area with no fence, you have a ground rule double. Ambiguity is the last thing people want when you're talking about sports, especially umpires. Okay? So, either you build the fence and you keep the scoreboards, or you move the scoreboards and don't build the fence. It's as simple as that. If you have temporaries or you can make, whatever. I'm just telling you from my perspective. That's all. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you. Anybody else? Tony?
Tony Coletta, that's 1L, 2 Ts. So when we,
Tell everybody how you,
I'm sorry, President Elk Grove Girls Softball.
thank you.
So when we come as a board and think of projects or think of items that can enhance the league, we came up with a few. Scoreboards and fences were one of them. This year we did something like we bought chalkers and draggers, chalked the lines this year. We're trying to give more value to the people who spend the money in our league. So instead of most things where they charge you more or the same and take away, we're trying to give more. So we did that this year. We put the time in. Calf Saturdays were great, chalked the fields, bought one for Mead, chalk them there as well, drag them so not just the 9 o'clock kids can
Right.
get a fresh field. Everyone who plays gets a fresh field. So when it came about with the scoreboard and fences, we didn't think anything of that this would happen. So just part of the reasons we chose Mead were, number one, Mead is the only multi-field facility in Elk Grove that can house all 4 divisions of our league. Bird, Clark, Marsh, Shenandoah, Fairchild, juniors cannot play on that field. The infield is too small.
Right.
Even most of those for sophomore, it's too small. So that leaves CAF, which you can't put fences at CAF because football and soccer have the upper half part of the time. And that infield is about 110 or more feet, which now you have a fence, almost.
Fence and a fence
Yeah,
on that lower level one.
on 4, right. We have 1 and 2, but I'm saying that's, so even in the fall, when we practice in the fall, we're competing with soccer, which is fine. We share the field, that's fine. So no fence there. And like I said, the other parks, it's to us, it's not fair to put them there because all the leagues can't play there. Heffern would be the only, Heffern or Bartram, whatever it's,
Effort.
I think Bartram, when my oldest daughter was playing, that one you could, but as we know, parking is kind of a nightmare at that place too.
Right.
So the Mead, it doesn't offer any competition with football or with soccer or with any other of the sports. It does have plenty of parking. It does have the 2 fields, and we would want to get as many games on there as possible. This year, 2024, the field usage was 75%, roughly 75% Eggs, Elk Grove Girls Softball, and then 25% rentals. If we can get more games at Mead, we will. We would love to pull from CAF on Saturdays and have Mead be the showcase field, as I like to call it.
Right.
Baseball has Audubon, which, I don't know, John, if you remember being at our board meeting in 2019, and you said to me you thought Audubon was one of the nicest fields in all of the suburbs.
I stand by that.
And with the fences, we debated, but with the fences and scoreboards, it is.
Yeah,
It's
no
a
question.
beautiful field. It's a beautiful field. So with that, we for fall ball, we had to join Carroll Streams League. And we've only played 1 game so far, but we went to Glendale Heights and they have a fence. And teams go to Itasca and they have a fence, and Schaumburg has a fence. We're the only town in this league that when other towns come to play us, we don't have one. We're the only town. So while I understand the arguments against it, I would just ask that you consider our position, that I think the project would fulfill the purpose of the Elk Grove Girls Softball, and I think it would fulfill the mission and the vision of the Elk Grove Park District as well.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I'll say something. No, go ahead. Go first. Okay.
Chris Jensen. And next week, I will have lived in Centerfield for the last 30 years. So I'm the red house right in the middle of this life. And that noise level, I will say, has gone up seriously. I mean, you know, they're not playing music, so really, I don't know if that'll ever happen, but there's no loudspeaker system. Sometimes with the hockey, it gets a little annoying. But the kids singing and, you know, what they do, right, it doesn't bother me. But it's all the time now, right? So that's a little bit heavy to take, and hearing more coming doesn't make me feel much better about that. And I also was thinking, with the scoreboard and the fence, why don't you put the fence in front of the scoreboard? Would that negate the rule?
Yeah, that's the point.
Just put the fence in front of the scoreboard.
Well, no, that's the point.
Beautiful. So that would work.
I wrote that down already, I was gonna mention it.
Yeah. So I have another suggestion, is you guys have done a great job with the landscaping. I got 40-foot pines. I don't see it, and I'm right there. I have to look under the trees to see the game. Do it on both sides of the path. Landscape it. Give the neighbors some, you know.
The minute we do that, though, somebody's gonna want the open space, so.
Well, do it in a smart way. You guys do that. I mean, you do beautiful parks, you know. Look at Fountain, the
And thank you for that.
landscaping, right? But do more of it. That's what I would say. And I think that would help. I don't need any more, but my neighbors may. But on the inside, you do it in, you know, a few places here and there along the path, and then you stop. So you have some coniferous trees, but pine trees that could maybe block some of the sound, prevent balls going, you know, in people's yards and things like that. Might be a suggestion that, I don't know. I talked to some of my neighbors about it, they thought it was a good idea, so.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Here it comes.
All right. Matt Smith, member at large for Elk Grove Girls Softball. Too tall, too old. I wanted to add on to what Tony said and just talk about the development of the players. Like, the stated mission of EGGS is to promote development of our young athletes in whatever capacity that is. So some just want to have fun, some want to try something new, and others want to continue to play. They want to go play in high school, they have aspirations of playing in college. And not having any fields with fences for the young players is really a detriment to their development. It impacts cuts, and defense, and rotations. It impacts base running and scores. Singles turn into doubles, doubles turn into triples and home runs, and it just becomes something that really doesn't teach the foundational aspects of the game, especially as they get older. Not so much of an impact when you're talking about instruction or ponytail, but when you get to sophomore and junior level, that's when we really start to teach what's next from a structural softball perspective. We need a field, at least one spot in the village where we can go and we can give the girls an experience that mimics what they're going to have as they continue to move forward. So I do believe that our development of our young players is impacted by not having the ability to play on a field with a fence. Forget the experience, forget how it feels to have a scoreboard and everything else. Just learning the game and how to play the game the right way takes a lot of effort from our coaches and volunteers that are in this program. And we don't have the chance to do the things that we can do or should be doing because balls roll and roll and roll and roll and roll. So I think the players' development is impacted by not having a place with a fence. So this will help solve that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Come on up. Did you get my email?
I did.
Okay.
I replied. I was still
I
waiting
was-
for your reply.
I had a rough work day today.
Oh, I'm a
Sorry.
teacher. I get it.
Yeah.
So, just to be clear in everything, I only have really one comment. I came last week to the meeting and just hearing everything. So,
Amy,
are
could
we
you-
choosing?
I'm sorry.
Oh,
to
sorry.
interrupt. I forgot to say, can you give Francis your name? Although you know
Sure.
her
My name's
name.
Ami Hang. I teach at Elk Grove High School.
Yeah, right.
All right. So my question is, are we choosing the betterment of 120 kids versus 600 kids at this point? Okay, I'm disregarding the community, which I live in, but you are choosing to make all the men's meet for 120 softball players from that's the number we got last week, to against the 600 plus kids that are at Mead. And mathematically, because that is what I teach, that doesn't sound right. So I want to go back to the board and the community. Are we choosing one over the other, and how is this right? We really need to look at what is the best for the children overall, for the community that we live in and that I teach in. So, just bring that up.
Thank you. Anybody else? Come on up.
You know what? All right. Tammy Massaro, and I'm just going to add on because I agree wholeheartedly with what she said in regards to 671 students to the softball program, which is 120. Is that about right? I'm sorry?
190.
190. So 190 versus 671. So when I looked at the school calendar and I looked at the months that the athletic director from District 54 and the administration said that they every day try to get those kids out, right? Because kids are way too much in front of technology. My background, I'm also in the school system, but I'm a psychologist. So we know that physical activity pairs with mental health, right? That is why Mead staff, every day that is possible, has those 671 students out there on those fields doing their activities. They know it's critically important, not only for their physical health, but for their emotional health. So, thinking in that, I actually ran some numbers given the Mead usage for softball, and there was a total of 66 softball games scheduled. 2.5 hours each, right?
What time of the year, what month of the year are these games?
Oh, I'm sorry, what? I don't know, it was the Mead
Well,
usage.
the reason why I asked is because we mentioned it last meeting, and maybe this will clear up a couple questions, is these are temporary fences. Now, they're gonna be, if it's passed, it'll be a yearly temporary, but they're only gonna be in the field for their schedule, which would be the end of May,
No, May and June.
or May, June, and a little bit of July, right? So that's their schedule.
All of May, so that's track and field at Mead.
Okay, hold on. May, June, and a little bit of July, okay? Then it would be the end of August, September, and October,
Right.
all right?
So,
I just want to be clear, like, these aren't
Yeah, 6 months. 6 months is correct.
a portion of each, so call it 5. I'll tell you what, I'll give you 6 months. My point being is, I just want everybody to be clear, these are not permanent fences. Because I'm getting emails on that, like, I can't believe these are gonna be permanent. That's what we're trying to combat, probably both sides, is like, hey, let's just get the facts out. So, go ahead.
so I know cross-country started today and will run through mid-October. So that is the same time that the fences, the temporary fences would be up for the fall ball. Is that correct? Yeah. So that's competing right there. But it could be that because the emails that I was reading from community members, right, because there's a lot going on right now, good and bad, mostly not, 100% accurate like you would say. I was like, you know what, let's just look at if there were permanent fences, because I think that that's the information we were hearing that the softball league wanted. But even without, we know that May is gonna conflict with track and field. If you go to the Mead website, if you talk to their athletic director, that is the most highly participated sport at Mead, because it's a no-cut sport, right? You don't have to try out. You don't have to be the top
Agreed.
athlete to be out there.
Agreed.
Right? And so it's a huge sport for them. Same thing with cross country. It's a no-cut sport. This provides students who do not have necessarily an athletic skill set that they might be comfortable going behind and, being a batter or being the catcher or whatever. It provides them an opportunity that is not available through the park district.
I agree.
And it is something that is there and has been at Mead forever. And like Ms. Rawls said, there's 300-400 kids there during meets, right? And those fences are going to prohibit that.
Okay?
So if you do when I did the math, and I did it for more permanent fencing, so if you have 66 softball games there at 2.5 hours, that's 165 hours of field usage that, given the data of the Mead field usage by the softball board, that the students used, right? Or that the softball league used. And that was just games. If you compare that to 6 hours a day, and I only counted the days of kids in school, so I didn't count all of August, all of May.
Right.
It's equals 722 hours, because there's 6 hours of PE done there a day. And it's 720 hours of field usage by Meade, and that's not including the cross-country, and that's not including the track and field. It's just, there's no comparison in regards to field usage and the use by our Elk Grove students. Meade feeds Link, Nergy, and Stevenson. Those are all Elk Grove students.
Agreed, 100%. Thank you.
So,
Stephanie, right?
Stephanie Heidenreich, hi. So
Francis, you got that?
what we are respectfully asking is that the board carefully consider the impacts that this may have. We can kind of see how much usage these students get. And we were hoping that we could be considering alternative locations. Ones that don't border a nature sanctuary, a junior high, one that doesn't back up to residential homes. We know and we've been told that the Elk Grove Park District's mission is to serve the entire community. And this does seem to be serving a specific group, this project. So it would be transforming a multi-purpose park used by all kinds of students all around the year to a single-use facility, and it would limit the park's availability. So my sincere hope is that those advocating for changes in the park take a moment to reflect on whether their wants outweigh the needs of the broader community, particularly the students of Meade.
Appreciate it. Thank you. I forgot your name, I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's Kim Serafini, and I'm a resident in that area. I do have a couple of concerns and questions about the fence. I know you say it's temporary, and there's going to be blocks of time where it's taken down. One of the guys' softball points was it is a learning tool, but it sounds like you're talking about the fence being up just for game season. I have not seen softball stop during August, and I know you said it does, but there are practices or games there all the time. So I'm truly wondering, is it coming down for periods of time? Is it a lot of work? Are they really gonna put in the effort to put it down during that short window in the summer? Or is it gonna end up remaining up? I also wanted to ask about follow-up for the pickleball that we talked about at the last meeting. I know you said the ice rink in front of Meade isn't in discussion now about turning into pickleball, because I know how frequently there are kids out there using that
Right.
hockey rink. However, that same day, my son happened to have basketball practice there, and there was a poster up. It looks like there were originally 3 posters up, and it's got a QR code leading to a Google survey generated by the Elk Grove Park District asking for feedback on whether that should be pickleball or remain the inline rink.
Okay, I will get to that as well when I get through. I know exactly what you're saying because we kind of went back and forth here and then we talked about it on the email. So Meade Park is up for some renovation in the next year or two. And I think that's what we're doing. That's,
So by it not being on the table, it actually is on the table to change that into pickleball?
well, at some point we have to put, anything we do, we have to discuss, do we want to do it? Right? Meade is ready for an upgrade. What that upgrade is, we have no idea. We're not even close to that yet, is my
Okay.
point.
Is there another way to reach that? Because like I said, it looks like there was originally 3 posters, now there's 1, it's crumbled, it's bent. I don't even know how many people are seeing it.
I'll get
because
back
it's on
to
the
you,
far side of the
I'll get a
entrance.
little deeper into the Meade, schedule for a renovation. And
Okay.
I'll let you know for sure.
And reaching out for more feedback from the community about
Yeah.
who uses that for.
We've learned a
the
lesson.
rink.
Let's not kid ourselves. The board and we've learned a lesson. Like, this is the second part that we've done where we've had this. But, you know, times change. We need to change as well. We're working on that. So, but thank you.
President Walls, I can comment on that, that in our 5-year capital plan,
Meade renovations are scheduled for 2027 with an approximate budget of $1 million. So that does give us a lot of time to go ahead and talk to the community, not the community, the neighborhood, but the community and the neighborhood, and come up with a plan. So it's nothing that's gonna take place next year. It's not in the budget. the 5 board members have not discussed that, like, hey, we are gonna convert it to pickleball.
Yeah, it's
Again, I'll applaud him. I didn't know that a QR code went there, but I don't have a problem with that because you might as well start soliciting feedback right now. But right now, it's scheduled for 2027 in our budget.
Anybody else? Come on.
Kevin Roberts, my wife was here last week, did good. She's a very nice lady, she spoke on our behalf.
Can you go by the microphone,
Yeah,
please? Thank
I'll do
you.
my best not to repeat and try to keep it real short here. I live back up to the field. My son and I like to run through there, love the open space. My daughter, I am sure we're gonna be using that field when she's older. There's 4 points that I was trying to listen here. I missed the last one, so this is what I got. Pro field, there's to enhance the experience of the softball players. There is to further develop the 190s, right? 190 softball players. There's difficulties umpiring, and there's keeping up with the other towns. Just hearing all this and experiencing and talking with other people here, it's just my personal opinion that the experience of the 190 softball players does not outweigh the disruption of the community and the school. That's just my point. That's for you guys to decide, of course, respectfully. However, I do have this thought. I do want to say this just in closing, that you can see I'm not all that old here, right? So I remember being young, and there's this thought in my head of 190 players that most of them, probably just a very small amount, has said, I want a field that has a wall and a scoreboard and all that, if we're not prompting them. There's a fear that as adults, when we're coaches, we're in positions of power. A lot of us are like this, that we project ourselves onto our students. And I know you're saying you want to keep up with other towns. I understand that. But let's think about does it outweigh the maybe 15 to 20 softball players that say, hey, this is what I'm all about and this is what I need. That's all I'm saying. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hey, I just have one more question, if I could ask.
Can I circle back as long as, you will be the last, I'll come back to you, but I just get to
Yeah, go
the,
ahead.
anybody else?
I would like to.
Come on up. Just your name, not an address.
My name's Owen.
Owen, what's your last name? You know what, we're
Heinrich.
good, Owen, you're right there, you're fine. You're underage, you can do whatever you want.
Well, I live in that right behind the field,
Mm-hmm.
and it would not. I play soccer up there with my dad all the time. I run around with my friends up there, and I would really not like to see a fence up there instead of like kids playing and track and field for Mead
Okay.
and stuff like that.
Anybody else? Sir?
My name is Marko Dimitrijevic. Let me know if I need to spell that. I'll be glad to. Just quick question. Is there a rendering of this project and the fence that we can see anywhere?
We've changed it so often.
No. It's a 4-foot fence.
Yeah, but we would.
It's a 4-foot fence that will kind of mirror the infield if up, and it does not connect anywhere, right? It's not going to enclose the field so you can't get in or out.
Sure.
If you've been near Audubon, which is over by Grove Junior High, actually it's basically across the street from Junior High, it's the same thing.
So I haven't. I shared the concerns of so many that were voiced, but all I ask is if you would be so kind to put up a rendering somewhere so that we can visualize what this will look like, because that may alleviate a lot of the concerns.
Okay.
And then we will be speaking based on facts versus suppositions. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Tim?
I'll yield if anyone wants to.
Anybody else? Sir, you want to come up one last time?
Just one more time. Sorry, I forgot to say this. Yeah, so it's still Chris Jensen, center field. And so to parallel, and why, maybe some of these folks are a little bit agitated about it is, for years we had a hockey rink, a hockey pond or hockey flooded area where kids could escape. And about 2 years ago, 3 years ago maybe, all of a sudden, we got temporary fencing. It's ugly as all get out. It's the weirdest looking fencing, strung with electrical cords all the way around, connecting floodlights that are on all night. This happens whether there's ice in the thing or not. So as you can imagine, the last couple of winters, it's completely not used, lit up all night, and it's an eyesore. It's terrible. So consider, first of all, consider the parallel of that. I know you probably won't do that again, but you guys are in charge of that one. And so think about landscaping, something to make it better, something to take the noise down, because it's really annoying at night, especially. The lights are right into the house. Right?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes,
Sorry, can I make one more comment?
you may.
I'm Hangan. So, as I had said earlier, I'm a teacher in this district, in this community. And, earlier, someone on the softball board had said that we're trying to develop this program and help develop these skills. To be honest, where I work, where I teach, 45% of our kids can't afford lunch. They don't have enough money for that. If you want to develop this program, can we use that money to help get more girls into it? If we can pay for that, instead of spending the money where it hurts more children. I mean, 45% of the kids can't afford food. So let's get them in sports. Let's get them out of their houses that are so small that they're, there's like 4 kids that live in a bedroom sometimes that are here. So let's find them an outlook and help all the kids of this district and community.
Thank you.
Mention our foundation, it's a good plug.
Yeah, I'll do that in our comments. The Park District does have a foundation for that very topic, and we'll talk about it tonight. Direct you where you can even send your students to, if they want to play a sport here at the Park District.
Mine are high school kids, but we should get them.
But either way,
You know what I mean? You should get
we'll get you the information.
I work elementary.
Anybody else?
My name is Don Halls, and I just want to bring up, we've obviously heard a lot of things from both sides of the park, so to speak, and hear about development of the kids as well. And I think everyone here, of course, is for that. A fence has nothing to do with the development of a child hitting. It has nothing to do with the development of a child fielding a grounder, fielding a fly ball, pitching, or catching. It's got nothing to do with development whatsoever. So a fence will not help develop the kids in any shape or form. And like I mentioned last week, they can't hit it that far. They cannot hit it. I live there, Tony. I watch it daily. We watch it. They do not hit it. The ones that might be capable at some point are not U7, U8, U9, U10, U12. You talk about 190 softball players. Out of the 190, how many are of the age, strength, and skill set to hit the ball that far? It's probably less than 5%. And we're talking about putting up a fence, disrupting the kids at school, disrupting the neighborhood where the people are living. It's easy not to be concerned with it when it's not in your backyard. But I guarantee, if I were to come in and say, hey, I'm gonna tear down your neighbor's house and build a 7-Eleven, you'd all have a problem with it.
That's a leap, but understood. That's a big leap. Tim, I believe you're the last one. If not, we'll.
There's people outside.
Oh,
I have a few questions.
yeah, come on in.
Bob Feckerata, I live on Swinner.
Just make sure that you do it in the mic so they can hear you.
Hi, I'm Bob Feckerata. I just have a few questions I want to clear up. Feckerata, F-E-C-A-R-O-T-T-A. What has the school board said about this, District 54?
We can get to that whenever all the questions are done, but we will address that. Bill, will you make sure we get to that one?
I was getting to it no matter what.
Okay.
Okay. I think in terms of cross-country, an easy solution would be reroute the map of the course. You said, someone mentioned they're not closed off, right?
No, they're not.
Okay. So to me, that sounds like an easy solution. I'm not a cross-country coach. I am a former track coach. I want to ask, what type of events are held out in the grass during track and field? I think most sprints are held in the parking lot. Please someone correct me if I'm wrong. And excuse me, I'm a little nervous here.
I can answer that question.
Oh, yes.
They actually did an oval in the field and had the kids run like 400.
Right,
400,
okay.
there's 800, there's a mile.
So if we had a rendering of this fencing, could we maybe visualize?
They actually put that in the field.
If, the only reason I ask is because anybody watching on Facebook or on Channel 6, they can't hear you. So if you want to come up and explain do you work with the district? What's your name?
No. I'm Karen Bullock, I'm just a resident.
Okay,
My daughter went to Mead, but this past spring, they actually put an oval in, it would be the field that butts up against your houses, right? They put the oval there so the kids could, because there's no track at Mead.
correct.
Right, Eisenhower is the only one that has a track. So they, you know, they have the dashes in the parking lot. That's what
Right.
the kids have to run, and the hurdles, that's
For
what
the
they
shorter
practice.
stuff, right?
So they, you know, this was the first year I had seen it, that they actually put the oval in the outfield area
Thank you,
where the scoreboard is. So,
thank you.
I mean, because the kids have to practice somewhere. Mead doesn't have, they have one field, I don't know if that's Park District on the other side of Mead, but where the softball fields, I mean, that's where that's for, I know it's Park District land, but that's what the school uses. So, same with Link, right? Link has recess, and that's where they play soccer. So the schools have to use the land that they have, which is Park District land.
Thank you.
Okay, so just to finish up, so we're talking about temporary fences that are not enclosed, an easy reroute of the cross-country map is viable. And my last comment is just, I want to publicly state that I'm offended when I hear adults say that girls can't do something,
Agreed.
okay?
Thank you.
That's terrific.
But you're not speaking of.
Sir.
weakness. You're speaking of their strength.
We're not there yet. I get older.
Hello, my name is Mike Bald, and I'm one of the volunteer coaches for one of the teams, and I just kind of wanted to give you insight. This past Saturday, I had one of the coaches from Bartlett text me 7 o'clock in the morning, says, "How's your field?" And I said, "Mead and the Park District has taken care of those fields. We're not going to have any problem with water on it," and we didn't. Saturday's game was the first game that we turned the scoreboards on. The kids' faces, the team that came there to play, everybody was happy. The parents were able to see the score. It was just a great day for the girls. And there was a lot of pride in their eyes. And I just want to commend the Park District for taking and doing this and having the insight to do this. The fences are only going to enhance it. It's a temporary fence. I believe the school board has signed off on it. They know the plan in place, and they understand that things might have to change, but they understand that. So I just wanted to let you know, this is something that, you know, if we want to keep the girls here playing, being positive and being, you know, wanting to play here in Elk Grove, not go to other communities that have better facilities, have better fields and stuff like that, it's something that we should do for the girls.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Is there anybody else out in the hallway?
Real quick though, Mike said that Mead has signed off on it. You said agreed. Let the facts show that Mead did not sign off on it.
Okay. Is there anybody else in the hallway? And if they want to speak? All right, can I let Tim go?
One question.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Is there a reason we cannot keep everybody happy here and leave Mead the way it is and install the necessary equipment for the girls in another field? There's 16 fields on the Elk Grove Park District website that are, and Cap being one of them.
They don't all fit all divisions.
So Tony, just come on
Cap
here,
has basketball,
and then we're gonna get
it
to
has
Tim.
parking, it has 2 lower level fields. If it's an athletic field, it should
So,
have the fencing.
I'm gonna clear this up now. CAF is stock full.
It's not.
It is, Carrie.
I will tell you
I
that
can give you how many different leagues play at CAF and what we can do at CAF because of football, soccer, men's softball, senior softball, baseball. So that is, in my opinion only, they might correct me or whatever, that is why we took Mead,
Am I
because it
correct?
gets all 4 levels.
Am I correct in the assumption that boys is now moving over to Lions because,
Boys have always been at Lions.
yeah, I know, because Nick played there. But I understood that those parks were being improved so that the boys can play more games there. Is there a reason why we couldn't move some of the boys' activity to Lions? Girls are welcome to play in Mead, we're not against that. But the girls who need or who are able to hit the ball to fences, have them play at cap.
No,
There
you can't.
certainly could be some reallocation of the fields.
Tony, do you want to discuss why you're at Mead again?
Oh, I heard what he said.
Yeah, so
Well, it's not
Cap,
gonna change, Carrie. I mean,
The-
what
the
I'm
problem with-
saying is, Mead is there for a reason. It's been there 30 years, right?
Yeah.
It catches all four levels of their,
Not like it is now,
well, there is,
though. It hasn't been.
my house isn't like it was 30 years either, but that's what happens. So go ahead, Tony, you explain it.
so the problem with Mead, we have fields, softball gets fields 1 and 2, which are on the top. So once fall hits now, you have soccer up there.
Right.
So,
And
and
football.
the
And football.
infield, and football. The infield, because they're pegged for 90-foot bases, the infield is gigantic.
Like,
So-
the lower ones.
They're not allocated to us.
baseball.
No,
That's-
but I think they're at 90 as well. I think 4 is at 90 as well. No.
Hey, Tony, can you direct
I'm sorry.
to us and let,
So because the cap fields, because they're pegged at 90, the infield is huge. So we would prefer not to have the little kids there because when you're teaching outfield and you want girls standing in the grass, they can't stand in the grass at CAF. It's just too
Right.
far away. No one's gonna hit it at instructional, at 4 and 5 years old, they're not hitting it to the grass to give the outfield.
let him, please.
So again, Mead, why we like Mead is that it's the only multi-field facility. It's got 2 fields. It can house all 4 divisions. All 4 divisions are pegged, the bases are pegged, and the infield is a size in such that it works for all 4. Marsh, Shenandoah, Clark, Fairchild, the Bird, the infields are too small for juniors.
Correct.
Almost too small for sophomore. Bartram or Heffern is the other one that juniors can play at. So when we play juniors, we play them at Heffern, we play them at Mead, and then if we have CAF Saturdays, CAF Saturdays. But again, we would love to move out of CAF on Saturdays and have our our All-Star Weekend,
Right.
have our festivities, our Home Run Derby, in which the Park District wouldn't have to put up temporary fences for us at CAF, because we would have a fence there already.
Agreed.
And then, as pointed out, we did have our playoff games for for all divisions, junior, sophomore, ponytail, at Mead. We only had the juniors championship at CAF because it was a 7 o'clock game on a Friday at night. So now if we're talking about putting lights at Mead, we'll move that game over to Friday night at Mead for the championship. But we did play the playoffs and championship at Mead, and everybody loved, they loved being at Mead for the championship games.
Okay, thank you.
Did you just, what? Give me 1 sec, just give me 1 sec. Last board meeting we were here, August 8th, you guys said, lights are not happening at
So
me.
I'll clarify before we go too much further. He wants lights, it has to get past us, and currently, that's not on our radar.
Right, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
However, regardless, it sounds like the softball board, and it's a movable position, Tony, right? You're there right now because your daughter's playing. But there's going to be a new softball board, right? Just like there's new PTAs in school, new park district boards, all of that is going to be moving, right? Everyone's gonna have different needs. So we have to take that into consideration too. The people who are putting significant input aren't always gonna be the people who feel that that's how the money or the funds or the field should be used, right? You may get a softball board member who thinks, oh my gosh, we really need to grow the program by giving scholarships, right? Past what the Elk Grove Park District does. So that is what I'm gonna say on that. But my other question is, that Ms. Carey keeps talking about there's 16 fields, right?
That's been drilled into us, I promise you. I understand, but
But what? Like, it doesn't seem like it's you guys are, what I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, often am, but you guys are saying that the fields are a certain way now. It doesn't mean that they can't be changed to access all 4 levels. So if we're putting time, effort, and trying to make everybody in the community, the students at Mead, the nature sanctuary, we all know Elk Grove is thankfully so blessed to have funds. So why are we limiting ourselves to what the fields look like now and not thinking about which fields will be appropriate for all 4 levels if we change them to be? Because Mead's always been, doesn't mean that it has to continue to be changed.
Correct.
To be all 4 levels.
100% correct.
So if we look, and if there's a needs assessment and a really a deep dive into all of these fields and how can they be changed, and maybe like in general, it has to be looked at a larger scale, right? Mead's always been softball, but maybe it's better, better guided towards U8 baseball. I don't know, but maybe we need to look at a needs assessment and not just be, it's always been Mead softball, Cass football, this is soccer, blah, 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 but look holistically at all of the fields, knowing that maybe instead of keeping as is, we have to change them to meet the needs of the softball girls. Create
Thank
a new
you.
one.
Thank you. Anybody new? Tim, it's you.
Anybody else? Okay. First thing, Counselor Hoffman, that's a nice tie. I do like that. That's pretty snazzy, good tie. So, I'm not gonna bore you with what I said earlier. I may echo a couple things mentioned, but, I'm 46 years old. So I did not live during the Jim Crow era. I can't really say what that must have been like to say this water fountain's for this race, this water fountain's for that race. But this past couple hours, I've been hearing, this is the boys' field. This is the girls' field. This is soccer's turf. This is football's turf. And it sounds like we are bound by what happened 30 years ago. I've been in town 21 years, and I got more hair in my ears than in my head. And so I've been here for a while. I'm not young, but I'm not old. But I never subscribed to that. Maybe there was a clause in my closing contract, but I don't recall that. So I don't really understand this mindset that, this is Mead's scoreboard and only the girls can enjoy seeing their scores on this scoreboard. I'm not fully understanding this mindset. And a lot of people have made this comment. Well, and to add more data to this, my kids have been involved for 11 years. So I've gone through 6 directors of softball. So 6. And so again, they will not be here.
Correct.
And so that is a true statement. With this being said, I've paid into the program for 11 years. Not once did anybody come to me and say, we need this. And so I have this question as to what happened to this idea that CAF was our flagship. That was what was drilled in my head, that CAF was the flagship. We have these brochures, Skills Night and Home Run Derby at CAF, an evening-based event at CAF, that you were specifically using CAF to hit home runs. And so now you're saying to me, Tim, we're gonna put up a home run fence, but we're gonna have our home run derby at CAF, but we're not gonna have the home run derby at CAF, we're gonna move it to Mead, but we don't have lights in Mead, so we're just going to abandon our interest in CAF and go to a field that doesn't have lights. And so these things aren't making sense to me. I don't fully understand that when these athletic associations were absorbed into the fold of the Park District, their job, they are advisory boards, they're to advise you. They're not to rile up the people in order to say, give us what we want, or else we're going to bring the people here and force you to do that and have a public tantrum about it. That's not their role. They're supposed to advise you, and then you make the decisions. Now, again, at this point, I don't fully understand how we arrived at the people that you appointed Tony to serve are basically on 36 hours notice that this is even a problem, that, no offense to the residents, that the residents knew about this 2 weeks ago. And they came to a meeting 2 weeks ago, and I'm hearing about it on social media because people from out of state, people from outside of the country are opining on this. And as somebody mentioned before, an email was forwarded to them. So all of a sudden now we have this situation where if you were to look at Elk Grove, you would think that Elk Grove is filled with a bunch of backroom yokel locals and a bunch of uneducated rubes who can't properly advocate for their parents. Or probably advocate for their kids. And that's not reality. The reality is that if Tony's not going to pick up the phone and call me or send an email to me, but he's just going to basically send out a petition to halfway around the world, send out an email, send out a Facebook post saying, pack the place 12 hours later, there's going to be conflict. Now, I personally don't fully understand that Marshall Park was at least a year or two in the making. Why can't we take the time to say, let's look at our resources, We have the goal line. Nobody's disputing that a fence is a good goal. So let's look at collaboratively as a community and figure out where's the best place to put it, because contrary to popular belief, the boys don't have one park, football does not have one park, soccer does not want to have park. These are the residents' park, and so I have equal claim to every single park. And I'll bring that fight to anybody's doorstep, because one park does not belong to anybody.
Correct.
This is the taxpayers' park.
100%.
And so right now, what I'm feeling is that we're being boxed into a decision, because these are the only resources carved out for girls, and you must figure it out with these resources. But don't touch the boys' spot, don't touch soccer spot, don't touch football spot. And so I think that the next evolution is to actually say, within all the resources within this town, what is the best way to accomplish this mission? And bring in all these wonderful people and find something that we can all agree on, or at least have consensus on.
Thank you. Okay, as I told you last meeting, oh, Connie, I'm sorry. Come on up, please.
I have a lot of empathy for the people from Mead. And I have a lot of empathy for the board, because if any board has tried to do their best over all the years that I have lived here, it is the park board.
Thank you, Connie.
What has happened, however, I'm sure tonight is more apparent to you than it has ever been. And that is an issue of communication. It is an issue of planning that involves the people that are most involved. These people, in all the different groups they belong to, are very much involved. But you know what they're most committed to is they're committed to their community, they're committed to their homes, they're committed to the park, and they're committed to the children. As a member of Marshall Park, one of the last things that was mentioned to you is that you need to plan. We planned, and it didn't do us any good. As a community, you know, the people in Marshall Park, we now have the consequences of not having been involved. We have spent a summer with hundreds and hundreds of people in our park, with cars everywhere, with people that come on buses, with camps, etc. And if anything at all, I do hope that the Park District, like it was doing tonight, talking for the first time that I've ever really heard you talk, will evaluate what happened at Marshall Park this summer. Because the impact was not only on the residents, which was tremendous, but the impact was also on the neighbors that bring their children to our park, who ultimately stopped bringing them. You've seen it in the emails, you've seen it on the social networks. I have had all kinds of telephone calls, unfortunately being involved with the Friends of Marshall Park. The last call I got was 2 days ago from a grandmother who babysits her 7-year-old, who said, I just want you to know that I no longer bring my child to Marshall Park. And I said, but school has started. And she said, the damage is already done. She said, because when too many people come and groups of kids who have relationships come, they cut out the other children. And so the neighborhood kids that are little incidental kids in strollers and walking with grandparents are being shut out of the park. The biggest impact on our park, which I mentioned to you the last time I spoke to you, is that you can't have, in the area that we have, 200 people. If you've got approximately 60 or 70 cars, and you've got approximately 3 people per car, you figure it out. And then you add the people that want to walk in. Why would we have people from Glenview? Why would we have people from Park Ridge? I would love to have the Mead people come over, okay? Because they're part of, quote, the community of Elk Grove Village. If the Park Ridge people want to come over because they're there, because they're with friends in Elk Grove, great. But not if they've been advertised outside of Elk Grove Village that there's a splash pad at Marshall Park, which, by the way, was only being played with today, and the water dumping everywhere because there weren't any children playing in the splash pad today. Okay? What I really would like to talk to you about tonight, and this is directed at Mark, is the light is back on, okay, on the parking lot at night, which comes right into my dining room window.
Is
Because
that the pole directly across the street from your house?
Right. And it comes right into my dining room window.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
I hate to have to pull my shades after 50 years in order to live in my house comfortably. But that light is totally unnecessary. It not only hits me, but it gets all of the side of the quads. Why would you have a parking light like that on at that time of night? One of the things that got said the other day was we're going to have pickleball till 9 o'clock. We're supposed to be a dawn to dusk park, an 8 o'clock maybe, but why are we talking about 9 o'clock? If we know then that's what's going to happen because the lights are on at the washrooms, okay? People are going to be sitting around. You're not going to clear the park. So that's kind of one issue. The other issue is, please, can we have some landscaping? Across the street, I think her name was Jenny, put in a lovely little flower display, and it was very nice, but it was not watered, and it's dead. What we have asked for, which you promised us in '21, is that we would have bushes and trees. Now, I understand our bushes got old because they've been there a long time, but 2 of our trees have been cut down and the bushes are gone. And what we're asking for as a community for some aesthetics is to have some bushes and trees put across the front so that we don't have to look at cars and trucks all day long. And ultimately, at our glass structure of pickleball, okay? One of the
And you
things.
wouldn't complain if you had more landscaping, right?
Pardon me?
Nobody would complain if they had more
Sir,
landscaping.
I gotta keep it on the mic.
Comment to me.
Well, but you know what, if you've got too much landscaping, that's one thing. We have almost nothing, okay?
Connie,
And I agree.
Connie, you gotta direct to us unfortunately, just because we're on Elk Grove Television, Facebook.
Yes,
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
You're more, it's fine.
The other thing I would like to ask is, in addition to the landscaping, is for the Park District to please reassess what happened at our park this summer. One is the impact of the buses and the parks that came to us, or clubs or whatever they were, that impacted the numbers in the park. But it's not only that. We intend to add pickleball. We're already in the summer overparked. And so if we could communicate as residents, like these people are asking, in the planning of what you are doing, we would like to particularly talk about impact of time, the impact of the number of people at certain times, and the number of people that are being allowed. I was encouraged to hear that someone was thinking about Beisterfield. There was a reference made to the report that was made on the 8 parks. I think you need to readdress that report, because one of the things that got said is that it would take $100,000 to do Beisterfield, which is against what was given to you as a plan to do 6 pickleball courts there for under $50,000. And the big thing with that is it was portable. If you decided to change the way that you wanted to use that tennis court, you could take away the screens that were being used there, okay? So there's a lot of alternatives. If you've got 19 tennis courts, is what your survey said in '23, certainly you have someplace else to have games, someplace else to do lessons than Beisterfield. Beisterfield would be a accessible to Mead easily, okay? It would be accessible to all the people that want to play pickleball until midnight. Remember what they said when they came? They want to play late at night. That would be a great place because the only thing it's near is the Park District. I would appreciate it if you would address the light, if you would address the landscaping, and if you would address the congestion that we had this summer. Thank you very
Connie.
much.
I'll get back to you on all three of those.
Thank you.
Thank you.
30 seconds, I did forget one thing, 30 seconds, now that people are in the room that can speak more intelligently than me. I mentioned earlier that I did not go to the softball meeting on the 20th. The reason I did not go to the softball meeting, I'm a paying customer. Had I known that all this was brewing, I would have been there. The reason I did not go was because the agenda created by the Elk Grove Softball Board specifically used the phrase grassroots effort at Mead.
You would talk to some, I got
Yes.
you.
And so grassroots is not a organized, this really sounds like an organized hit. This sounds like a coordinated hit. The more I'm hearing about it, I don't think Tony's that smart. I think that quite literally, he won't take my phone call, so I'm gonna insult him.
You know what, Tim, I'm gonna ask you to sit down after that. I'm gonna keep this.
You don't have rules, or you're regulating the content.
I don't
of
care, you
speech.
can turn me into the Illinois Attorney
Okay.
General. You're not gonna disparage anybody else in this room,
So
board
Tony
or
doesn't return
staff.
calls. He does not return calls.
That doesn't give you the right to call that gentleman a name. So,
Okay.
you're done.
Well, I'm not done, so.
You
again-
are done.
Okay, so if you want, so I'm gonna have a document now, you are
Turn me
regulating the
in.
content of the speech. Got it, no problem.
Thank you. It'll be on tape,
Absolutely.
100%. Anybody else? Mr. and Mrs. Lavin? All good? Come on up. Just need your name, first name only,
Peyton,
and
Ellie.
have at it.
Me and Ellie have been in the district for a couple of years now, six, seven. We have been so excited for these home runs, like the fences, and don't know how to explain it, but it kind of like,
It's, I think it is kind of important because Oak Grove is like the only, like, I don't know how to really explain it either,
Like,
but it's
we
the
don't
only
have- yeah.
place that doesn't have fences for softball or like baseball or like whatever plays there. And I think it is kind of important because then you can kind of show how, I don't know, if you like hit home runs over it, I feel like that's been an accomplishment and I don't know, I just think it would kind of be cool.
and I was in like, I was in the home run derby, hit 14 home runs. And that,
Congratulations.
that shows how, I think it's really important for the softball community, for those home run fences, because there's girls younger than me that's kind of like their dream, to hit home runs, and I want them to keep going for that dream. I think they shouldn't just give up. I want those fences for them.
Thank you very much. Anybody else, sir?
Sorry I'm late tonight. I was watching the board meeting on my phone, but I felt the need to come in and speak. So my name is David Frank. I'm a father, a girl dad, proud girl dad of 4 daughters. And I've been a part of Elk Grove Girls Softball for 16 years. My oldest daughter's 21 years old, and she just left us for college the other day. But she would have joined us tonight had we known this was happening. So I'm pretty much up here to say that this has been something that the program has been working towards for many, many years, as long as I can remember. We remember the day when Audubon got their fields, got their fences installed, got their scoreboards, and it was always, oh, football got scoreboards, baseball got scoreboards, fences, everything. Boys have always been supported by the community too. This is where it's kind of a problem for me. I hear people talking tonight, and they're talking about taking away things. Well, you can't take away something that the girls never had. So instead of adding and including, being inclusive, they want to take it away and say, no, you can't put up your fences, temporary fences, so that the girls can actually have some joy in playing, of the possibility of actually hitting a home run. So at the end of it, I don't understand why a compromise can't be made with the school district. I don't think that fences that have no enclosure will impede cross-country. I feel like there's a resolution that can make everybody happy. And the residents, they've enjoyed that backyard. They've enjoyed that field being open for them to use for whatever they please. But you know what? It is a community park, and all of our tax dollars pay for it. And I've heard people on the west side complain that Elk Grove only cares about the east side, and yada, yada, yada. So now we want to make improvements to the west side, yet the west side is still complaining. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Think about all the kids involved, not just yourselves, not just the school, but the girls that dream of one day getting a home run on that field.
Thank you. Anybody else new? Tim, I'm not doing it.
I want to just make
No,
sure.
you know what?
The board.
Take me to court.
The board, you want to hear this.
I
Mr.
don't
Galetta is a
want
public
you to
official,
talk again
and
after
I
what
am
you've done.
talking
Tim,
about-
I'm
you
gonna
do not
take
have
over for a
rules.
second.
You don't have
You have
rules.
cost this district tens and thousands of
And it'll be a
dollars.
lot more if you rescind my right
And
to
that's
speak.
fine. With your FOIAs, and we've always answered you. We've done it professionally.
Okay.
We've never called you any names.
And there
We've
is
answered
no-
everything.
You may not like the
The
content
fact
of my
that you
speech.
called a resident here what
No,
you did,
this is a public official.
lose
in
all
support.
credibility to
He
me.
is he is a public official.
Is there
acting in his
anybody else
capacity.
want to
Bill,
talk
you really
about
want to
Mead
go
Park?
down with this?
I don't wanna go, I'd like to see a compromise. I think this is silly between two adults,
So I will rescind my comment, but I will want to be sure that you recognize that these are public officials, and you have the
Duly
right to,
noted.
and you don't have the right to regulate our critique. It
Duly
is guaranteed in the First
noted.
Amendment. We have the right to say negative things, and you, contrary, we had this discussion 2 months ago, you don't have rules regarding public comments. You have
Duly
your
noted.
attorney right there.
I
And
know
again,
where he
you should
sits.
stop, and you should stop, ask your attorney before acting the attorney.
Thank you for your input.
So,
Tim did rescind it.
That's fine.
Anything
I'll
else?
take it.
Okay.
okay.
You owe him an
So-
apology, not me.
No, again, I'm a private citizen.
Anyway.
And he owes me a phone call regarding the program that I'm paying money into.
That sounds fair. Thank you, Tim. Okay, so at the last meeting we spoke.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Mike.
And you know what? That's a nice shirt too.
Thank you. At the last meeting, this project was in the works, and then we had dialogue, and then we left it as, hey, let's talk about it again, have this. So we're not voting on anything, we're giving them direction to whether to proceed or not to proceed with the home run fences. So we'll go through some discussion for the
All
public.
right, so really, so that they can't leave, or, it's 8:15, is there a chance that we can move 9A, right after comments by the commissioners? Because at that point, a lot of our comments are gonna involve the home run fence, that's all. And then they don't have to see how the actual vote goes and sit through all the committee reports and all the recommendations, just move 9A up a little bit so that they could hear that conversation or that actual consensus, that's all.
Well, we have a chance to talk about it in comments from the commissioners, right now.
Well, agree, okay, but.
So that's what I'm saying.
All right, but it's not a vote.
Can we maybe have staff, there's a lot of things that have been said, school districts saying one thing, staff has given us some impressions of other, that they talked to school districts, so can we give Ben
If he
an
needs
opportunity
it.
to
If you'd like, of
address,
course.
or Tiffany, or Mark, address some of the comments that, if you have anything that you want to refute.
Before the
what-
commissioners.
Yeah,
Sure.
refute what was said, or clarify anything that might have been said, that from a staff's perspective about this project, and people you've talked to at the school districts and so forth that gave you feedback.
So I'll just open it up. We did talk to District 54 superintendent. We also talked to another assistant superintendent, and we also talked to the principal at Mead Junior High. Tiffany spoke to the principal at Mead Junior High and the superintendent, and Mark spoke to the superintendent at 54. So you want to let them know what they said?
Yeah. So I first spoke to Scott Ross, who referred me to Steve Miller. The most recent phone call conversation came from Steve Miller. He's the superintendent of facilities for District 54. So he works out of the District 54 office. And his overall comment were they're super supportive of the project and whatever the district would like to do at Mead Park. Their PE and extracurriculars will adapt to whatever we do at Mead Park, whether it's this project or future projects, and they're very appreciative of our partnership. So, that's the gist of it.
And that was the director of buildings?
Steve Miller, Superintendent of Facilities for District 54.
Okay, facilities, right. Good.
Okay, that's that, all right.
There is no document
All right,
to sign, this is
Mark?
a conversation with the superintendent.
I spoke to the principal and it was a lot of the same conversation. The school remained neutral regarding the situation, was appreciative of the use of the space. There was no negative impact on the school, and they would adapt to any changes that were made that would be made.
All right, Bill, anything else?
Under commissioners' comments?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, lots of.
Okay.
All right, for those that are watching at home, how this played out 2 weeks ago is, yes, the Meade community came to us and said, hey, will you board consider other options? And will you at least listen to us? We've sent you some emails, we'd like you to move forward. At that point, there was already direction to put up the home run fences. Commissioner Cook chairs the Capitals Committee. In December of last year, staff presented to the commissioners a plan to put in the home run fence. You're right, we voted on it. Tom's right, we voted on it 5-0. Since then, why we put it on hold for a couple of weeks is because, yes, we're now deciding in my mind on something else. Back then, I didn't know what the Meade community buy-in was. I didn't know what the Meade school buy-in was. So a couple of weeks ago, I requested that, you know what, I'm not that interested in putting up a home run fence, and I'll list my reasons why. Bob was also the same way. Tom would prefer the fences, John would prefer the fences, and Scott said, I need more time. That's how we rolled into tonight. So as much as I want to talk to the residents that are watching this and you guys, I almost feel like if I don't want home run fences, I have to talk to Commissioner Carlson. I don't know if I'm going to change anybody's minds, but the biggest thing that Mr. Burns said and Tony said, and a lot of you guys are, where is the compromise? And that's the part I'm missing a little bit. So I've read a couple websites about this survey that came out, and I also want to clear up what I think are some mistruths out there. So the first thing, I believe our staff could have communicated better, plain and simple. So at some point, we own up to it. We plan on learning from this. At least I'm hoping staff will learn from it. I'm gonna try to direct staff to learn from this. We can just do it better. And one of the things, Tim said it best actually, the last thing that I feel so strongly about, that Audubon is not a boys' field. I truly believe that all our fields are assets. Anything that we own, Rainbow Falls, Community Athletic Fields, this building, we own it as a community. And I have championed in the past some trying to retrofit some fields because the numbers have gone down in a lot of our programs. And I think we might be a decade behind what we should be doing. It could be lacrosse, it could be eliminating a field. And so I looked at some of the numbers that, in my mind, Audubon is not boys baseball. Nobody on this board declared, and I've been on the board 23 years, that this field is for boys baseball. I have no problem at all. My daughter played at Audubon, travel baseball and house baseball. She's played at Heffern, Fairchild, the old Bartram, all of it. Yeah, where you play is where you play. I have no problem with that. It's a scheduling thing. If girls said, hey, you have 2 home run fences there. Why aren't we playing at Audubon? I'd say, yeah, that's a good point. Why aren't you playing at Audubon? You can play girls softball at Audubon. So it doesn't necessarily have to go to Meade. You start looking for other solutions. When a community, so it was a 5-0 vote to add this. And I support girls softball. And I also, it's a $50,000 cost for these fields. Any asset that we have, especially parks, playgrounds, in my opinion, if this board and staff can enhance that area, I'm all for it, no matter what the amenity is. Where I start to draw the line then is when it's really upsetting the neighborhood that lives there. So it's different from Marshall Park because, again, in my mind, Marshall Park and pickleball, because I heard the hump, there was a major need for pickleball with a minor opposition. In my mind, right now, there's a want for the home run fence, not a need, with a lot of opposition. We had 30, 40 people, homeowners, and again, with their own petition saying, hey, will you look at this? And you're right, it's never been there, and yet girls softball has survived. Doesn't mean that we can't make changes, but the bottom line is, it's a major impact at Mead. And girls softball and the rest of the residents that are watching this have to understand it is a major impact. It impacts the school. We talked about the school. I would love if the school was more enthusiastic, but they're not. In my mind, when somebody says we're neutral, I don't like neutral. That just means that you're not passionate for it. I would love if they say, we love everything you're doing, that home front, everything's gonna be great, but they're not. So that, I pulled back a little bit on that. So let's stop talking, like Tim said, about what our assets are. We can do whatever we want, you're right, because we do have the resources. You know what? To add parks, change dimensions. It doesn't have to be in a community where Mead is right now. The Audubon home run fence. Somebody posted that, there was opposition from the homeowners there and you still did it. No, I don't know of one person, I was here when they went up. Not one person at Audubon came to me or I saw any email that said, we don't want the home run fences. Whole different dynamics. The houses are not on the Park District land, how these houses at Mead do border the land. Also, you have a playground that was already built. It's already obstructing the view of the fences. You had the skateboard park there. So to me, it's not quite the same, but nobody came and said, boy, will you guys think about this? It's one of the reasons the fences went up there. Here, I've got a community of 100 plus saying, we really don't like it. Can you think about it? Where is the compromise? Sometimes I look at, we're not even utilizing all our fields, and why aren't we utilizing all our fields? Seriously, I brought a number because that was one of the things some lady, maybe she was a board member, and I love everybody who volunteers, and we as a community, anybody that's on these advisory boards should be complimented. They don't get paid, so appreciate it. But I'm gonna read some numbers on how the numbers in girls softball has gone down. So maybe it's a whole different setup than 10 and 15 years when I was on. Girls house softball in 2001 had 866. That 2002, 905. And I'm gonna stop saying the years, and it went down to 770, 634, 612, 551, 470, 482, 433, 413, 373, 365, 278, 244, 205, 227, 235. We're in the hundreds now. Okay, I want to do things better, but as one of the gentlemen said, it's really tough for me to want to upset an entire community so that I'm servicing 175 kids when I have the potential to maybe bring that asset to another area. But the bottom line is, this, when the one gentleman said, hey, don't tell a girl, he was not, in my opinion, he wasn't being mean. There are facts. I hope I tell my daughter she can do anything. But I tell you what, I'll also tell her as an 8, 9, and 10-year-old, she can't hit a ball over the fence, and she was a travel player. So I think he was just stating the facts that would a home run fence be great for the upper levels? Yes. The fact that all 4 levels are playing there, in my mind, not that big of a deal. The Mead personnel, I looked at the date that some of our staff talked to the principal and talked to some of the teachers. I believe it's been in the last 2 weeks, because somebody that I trust talked to the principal and he said he did not talk to anybody. And then a couple PE teachers that I actually have the names for are actually not in favor of this project. So that means a little bit to me. Like I said, I'd love a bigger buy-in between girls softball and the community and the board and staff. Other things I wrote. Yes, Tim was right, the home run fence, the contest at CAF, you know, we're already doing that there. We can continue to do things. I've reached out over the last couple days. I've been personal friends with probably 25 to 30 softball board members. I've had family members that was a board member. Lynn Graziano, Tom Fortman, Jonathan Jones, Jim Gronoff, RJ Gomez. It's a fact. This was not being talked about 15 and 16 years ago. This is a desire, maybe born in the last 4 or 5 years, but it's not a decade. You can't, I'm not gonna be BS that this is a decades-long aspiration to have home run fences. Maybe it got popular. So again, I'm trying to look for a solution, but I'm gonna state the way I interpret things. In my mind, it is also not an inequality issue that I'm also seeing posted. I want the greatest amenities for our residents, boys, girls, men, or women, period. And I believe the rest of the board does too. So it's a non-issue. There was no home run fences because we have a community that did not want it, and that's where we're at right now. We'll come up with a solution as a team, in my mind. Comments, Mike, because as people spoke, I wrote some things down. Yeah, it says, well, he left. Yeah, it's not, oh, you gotta take the scoreboards down or you can't have the fence. No, you put some fencing in front of the scoreboards and the ball hits that and it doesn't hit the scoreboard and you play it like it is. That's life. We had light stands at Lions Field, that same thing. You hit that, you know, you called it dead. Tony, you had mentioned that parking is an issue with potentially bringing the fences over by Bartram. I don't look at where you have home run fences change anything. Who's ever playing the game, you're gonna have that many people there, regardless if you have a fence or you don't have a fence. So, to me, that wasn't an issue. I still believe the same thing that a couple people, I'm not disparaging our kids, but I'm still not buying into this, we absolutely need this for the girls. You know what? I just don't think, I also don't think it impedes the development. I've seen Elk Grove High School have great teams that ended up in the quarterfinals, the Heat travel program, our own program. We have cranked out great kids without a home run fence. Maybe can you enhance that? I'm not saying that. What Matt brought up, is there some potential for base running and gap? Sure. But a home run fence, for me to upset a community, it's not one of the driving factors. I think I'm topped out. So anyway, the bottom line is, I'm still looking for compromise. So I look over at Scott, because fortunately, unfortunately, you don't have a vote. I get one vote, Bob does, everybody.
Well,
So
instead
it's
of predicting the votes, we'll work our way around.
Okay, that's fine. So I'll finish with, if it's gonna roll that way, Commissioner Carlson, look for some kind of compromise, because if I'm gonna be on the losing end of the 3-2 vote that the fencing is gonna go up, look at other places, or worst case scenario, put up one fence and not two. If I'm gonna lose, I wanna lose as little as possible, and that's my comments.
Bob?
So at Elk Grove Park District, we do a lot of great things, and I think everyone in this community acknowledges that and knows that. There's always things that we need to improve on, and one of the things that I've heard over the last couple of years with many of the projects that we're doing is communication. So I think as a board, that's something that we really need to address, and how are we going to do that, especially with new technology, where everyone is on a cell phone or, you know, some sort of mobile device. So we need to, I think, as a board, look at that. If you check out my voting record, I'm one of those people, we come and go on this board, right? And people that serve on different athletic boards, they come and go, as you've heard and expressed already today. But when you own a house, you're there for, majority of them are there for a lifetime, right? Or until you decide that you're taking that next step for your life, maybe moving somewhere warmer or colder, whatever your likes or dislikes may be. My voting record is when we were talking about a dog park. We had a document that identified several areas. We identified an area, we had community input, didn't like it, we held it here, I voted no. We had another issue with, or not an issue, but we had identified another park for a dog park. We held it over at Village Hall, because a lot of people were attending that. I voted no. We had the Marshall Park. Love the park, beautiful site. But again, I don't live in that area. I know it's a community park. The parks are all of ours, not just those people that live there, just like Mead. It's all of our parks. It's not just the people that live there. I voted no for the Marshall Park because of that. I was the only board member that did vote no. I'm also voting no for this as well, because the same rules apply as I've done throughout my 12 years on this board. And I will come and go. You know, I may be on, I may not be on, but I'm voting no because all the input that has been taking place. I agree with Commissioner O'Malley. A compromise, why can't girls softball use Audubon? Why can't we use another park somewhere else? There's Windermere, that is a large site. Now, I'm saying those, staff's probably thinking, why are you saying those parks? They can't use them. I'm saying that with not enough information. So I would need to request more information from staff regarding on those sites. But I'm voting no, so thank you.
Scotty? Okay, well, first to address CAF. There's no way that fences could go up at CAF, okay? Because of football, soccer, you just can't. So CAF would be out, okay? My initial feeling was, first of all, that nobody wants anything by their house. Okay, I've seen that now. Okay, so nobody wants anything to go in by where they live. Put it somewhere else. Okay. My initial was 100% to vote yes. I got an email from somebody and I thought it was a great idea. Put one up, the one on the north side. Okay, that's out of the way. Oh, by the way, cross-country runs around. They don't run through the middle of the field. They run around. But I would be okay with doing one, the north.
Don?
Yeah, I'm chair of the Capitol. I brought this to, and I support having the fences there. And listening to everybody, and a couple comments about, I agree with Scott as far as, nobody wants certain things in their backyard. If we had that philosophy, we wouldn't have anything in any of our parks. A part of a community, even though it's only 190 kids, is that we all share in those things. So maybe 190 kids here are gonna use this park, but over here, this park is being used for soccer for 190 kids. So throughout the community, we try and balance the different amenities that we have, and we're always trying to enhance and improve our facilities. So when staff looks at this, and we don't always just wait for the public to come to us complaining that they need this or that. I mean, obviously, those are things we would address. But we're charged with the responsibility of knowing, kind of being the experts. Staff is supposed to be the experts to know the industry, what the latest trends are, what's happening out there in youth activities, and how can we enhance it throughout our community, okay? So they're constantly searching that and bringing ideas back to this board for us to explore when we do our capital meetings every year as to how can we enhance our programs, what programs our volunteers are, what are they asking for, and can we do it? Yeah, a lot of it's just wish lists, okay? But some of it are legitimate things that they feel are gonna enhance their program. And even though it's changing over the times, they're talking to their constituents and their participants as to things that they feel are important to their programming. So when I look at it from a board standpoint, I'm trying to serve the entire community. And I can't just listen, although I wanna listen to the people that are impacted, the residents around there. I also have to look at the entire community and say, hey, if we feel this is good for the community and our programming, then I think it's my responsibility to go forward with that and minimize any impact that might be to those people that surround that immediate park, okay? Whether it be shrubbery, whether it be, whatever we do. We compromised, it was gonna be a permanent fence originally. I thought the temporary fence was a good compromise, that it wouldn't be up year round. And once again, I'm in favor of it. I also look at it that if it's up there and we use it next year or the year after that, and then we find out it is impeding dramatically on the school district's programming, or it's not bringing what we thought it was gonna bring, we can make that change and move those fences somewhere else or not have them up there, or compromise and only have one fence up. But I think that, first of all, the intent was not to, when we did this programming, was to enhance our programming and not to hinder or devalue what the people that live around there use the park for, okay? And I think that it can still be used. There's a lot of open space on the, that I'm looking at as far as the overview. There's still a lot of open space as far as the different activities. So, you see other parks, there is a lot of parking there, so I know we have a lot of activities there. The other thing I'd like to mention and indicate, meat is due, as I think we mentioned earlier, for I won't say a major renovation, but it's up for, well, I'll call it major renovation, you know, we may spend $1 million, $2 million to renovate that park in about 2 years, I think 2027 is when I look at it. Obviously, we're gonna have the people around there and the community involved in, what do we want there? Do we want inline hockey? Do we want pickleball? Do we want the shelter there? Maybe even the ball fields would change there too, because our needs or the wants will be there. Are there other amenities that would serve that park well? So there's gonna be changes there, even without this, there's gonna be changes there coming in a couple of years, because that's up on the list for renovation. So something to keep in mind as far as that goes. So to me, I'm in favor of putting up the fences. If it doesn't work out, we can always remove them. If Scotty's gonna be the deciding vote and we're gonna split and only do one field, I would say, obviously, the north field would be the least intrusive, if you wanna look at a compromise, but to me, I think, I'd like to see both fences go up, and I'd like to see the project go forward and evaluate it, after that. I think softball, we'll get good use out of it, so that's where I stand on it right now.
Thank you. I'm just gonna switch gears real quick. Connie, on your thought about the buses, landscaping, whatever, I will come back to you personally about that on an email.
Yes,
Okay.
I was particularly interested in one of the last items regarding the Northwest Special Group.
Yes, I will take care of all that.
Yes, I would appreciate that
You're
very
more than
much,
welcome.
because we had 2 bus loads a couple
Correct.
of times. from
Yep,
them.
I'll give you all the details. You have my number.
No, you have my number.
Oh, I deleted it.
Thank you very much.
We'll figure it out,
Yeah.
and if it means a coffee at your kitchen table, we'll get it done.
Because the community around the park.
I get you.
Very bad July.
No, I understand.
Okay.
And you know I don't understand, because I'm right there with you, so.
And what they're concerned about,
I'm done with Marshall for
truly,
now.
is that you would evaluate what actually happened.
So I will definitely get back to you via email, for sure. Okay? Thank you.
John, before you speak, Ben, what's the cost of rolling out the fences and installing them and taking them down every year?
The construction costs or?
Yeah, well, our staff putting up the
Temporary.
fence, not the construction cost.
So
Nick,
they
we're gonna
put-
take them down,
It'd
we're
be-
gonna put them up, we're gonna take them down.
It'd
Can
be-
you give me a rough estimate, $500, 1,000,
It'd be
staff
four,
time?
it'd be 4 times, so you'd probably have a handful of staff, couple hours, each time, so.
What's that
4, 6,
equate?
8, 10 times.
Add some travel to get to storage too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, realistically.
I don't know,
I'm being serious.
I'm looking at Mark.
Okay.
I'm
All right,
trying to do some
can I-
quick math, I gotta take my shoes off.
You know, both Scotty and I would like to hear an answer.
Yeah.
Well, you said, yeah, I'd like to hear the answer. I asked the question and I didn't get the answer.
Do you have an answer, Ben?
I can ballpark it.
Yeah, that would be fine.
Staff costs, $500, $750
The whole year or per time?
the whole year.
Okay.
All right, so now to get back to where I stand on this topic. I was gonna vote yes, I voted yes back in November, I was gonna vote yes 2 days ago, and I would vote again yes today. I remember sitting on this board when Audubon Park got their fences, and I was adamant about it. Commissioner Biedke was adamant about it. It was the perfect field, right? Now, granted, Grove Junior High uses that for cross-country. The neighbors are just as close, and I understand there's a street, but they're just as close. But there's not as many, I'll give you that. And Bill is correct. We have never had a complaint about Audubon, okay? What I saw in our November meeting was the board, Elk Grove Girls Softball came to us and said, hey, we'd like fences. And I was like, you know what? Total about time. Because, and I understand your point, Bill, but currently they are the girls' fields. And I'm like, it's been far too long since this program, these girls got some cool amenity. Now we talk about wants and needs. Okay, this is clearly a want, no question. But if this town only did needs, half of us would live here. I promise you. I can give you a couple towns, north and south, that just do needs. You all wouldn't be here. So, having said that, it sounds like there might be some compromise. If it gets down to the one field, Scott, I would be greatly appreciative, because I do think the girls, and we say 116 girls, I'd like to think of it as 116 tax-paying families. They deserve it, in my opinion. That's why I'm voting yes.
So is there a recommendation out there?
Yeah.
Mr. Commissioner, I just want to clarify for the record, there's no pending motion before.
No motion, we're
No
just
agenda item.
direction.
We're fine, okay.
This is-
We're using the word voting.
I should have
Directing
some votes.
consensus because there all was a
Just
vote in
direction.
December.
Yeah, we're doing direction.
You're just giving.
So,
Yes.
Scotty, I'll go with you on the field. The beauty of this thing, it's temporary.
Yeah. and if
So
they-
if it's going well and we use the one, so be it. If it's not, it's gone. And if it goes well, maybe next year we do two. Maybe we don't do zero. But I love the fact that there has been a compromise, because basically, these were gonna be permanent up until this dialogue that we had. So we have come more than what I think the social media group thinks we've done, so. Scott, if you're gonna say one, I'm in full
The
agreement.
north one, though.
It's fine, yeah, whatever you want.
President Quirk,
Sure, Tim.
if it's gonna be one, will this board stand behind a resolution, or not resolution, wrong choice of words, a recommendation as to the percentage of field use that should be from Elk Grove girls softball and not private travel rental groups?
So, I can get to that, thank you. Yeah, Elk Grove, here's how the pecking order works. Number one is Elk Grove resident programs, non-travel. That's very specific in our protocol. The next that come are a travel team that meets our residency requirements, which we put in place 12 years ago. Meaning you can't have one kid from Elk Grove and 11 other superstars and call that an Elk Grove team. That is on our books. After that, it goes out to the public. So, to your answer, Tim, yes, they will get first shot at it every time before any travel program that's Elk Grove, of which we don't really have only but one now, and then it'll go out to the general public.
So theoretically, 100% of Elk Grove girls softball games should be played at Mead.
Logistically, that might be impossible, but theoretically, you are correct.
But so logistically, no travel team should set foot before every house team has had a chance. So no house team should be scheduled.
We're splitting hairs, but
Well, it is because unfortunately, it becomes a question of rain delays. So if there's a rain delay,
I understand.
who gets access to that field? Is it the house team? It's because right now you could plan a schedule, so every.
It's the
schedule-
house team, Tim.
So the house team.
I gave you the pecking order.
No, what I'm saying is that so that if somebody were to say a schedule that has a house game at, let's say, or Halfred or whatever, there should be no, we should never see a travel team during that time allotted if a house team is somewhere else.
A house team has precedence over a practice and over games, over any travel team, including Elk Grove resident travel teams.
So again, if I.
Tim, can we get to the,
Well, it's a point of inquiry. So again, so if I'm sitting at 5 o'clock and they tell me, Tim, your practice is at Heflin, and I happen to say, drive past Mead, and I see a travel team at the same time, then are we in a violation? Are we in agreement that's a violation?
I'll get back to you on it, Tim.
Oh, yeah, that's a little slippery, but
I don't care what you call it, I'll get back to you. I'm not certain exactly, and I don't want to say
what's your
anything.
timeline for getting back to me? Because unfortunately.
I work.
Because unfortunately, Tony has not gotten back to me yet.
Yeah, that is clear. I work, give me 5 days, 5 working days,
5 business days?
5 business days.
Coming back to the
No
agenda.
holidays?
Yeah, we're gonna go back to what we're doing. So, Tom, are you good with one field?
I haven't heard what Scotty had to say.
He just said it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, the north field.
The north field,
And
yeah.
and it's temporary. And again, if it doesn't work out, maybe following year, we don't put it up.
All right.
Can I add one thing, though?
Sure.
It has to do with the actual scheduling. It's something that, Tony, I'd like you to listen to, and actually boys baseball, because it's a theme out there amongst parents, and while people are watching, Well, when a lot of us were children, I played baseball, Little League here in town, and then the grandkids, the kids, and then, but you've got, in my mind, is there any chance that girls softball and boys baseball can push their season back a couple weeks? Because I think some of the numbers are down because we're putting our kids that have homework because school is in session and they're in the outfield freezing and no ball's coming to them and they don't want to play because their first introduction to these sports is kind of climate controlled. When I played, it was like, hey, you started, and I'm not doing this when I was a kid, you know. But it was June, and the All-Star break was, you know what, just about 5/8 of the season. Then you continued to play in July, and all of a sudden our fields are sitting empty in July. So we have this demand, you know, the girls softball can use Audubon every single day in July because boys are done. So it's just either, if the boys are watching this, the girls, look at the flexibility in your own schedules when you're starting your seasons, because it may impact your numbers, but it'll certainly impact the enjoyment of the kids playing in a little warmer weather. That's all I wanted to say, I'm sorry.
Okay. So Ben, you have our direction, right? So we're all good. Thank you all for your comments, your input, your time, your efforts, your days. Alan, always thank you. Okay, recommendations of acceptance and approval. I need a motion and a second. Acceptance of the bid from Reiki Office Interiors, Inc. of Elgin, Illinois for the Hattendorf cabinet replacement project in the amount of $93,422.
So moved.
Second.
This one's pretty self-explanatory, right?
Yeah, there's 2 rooms in the senior center and 2 rooms in the preschool that we want to replace the cabinets, the laminate countertops are falling apart, and the MDF is worn. So we want to replace them in the preschool, especially. This is the first stage in probably a couple to get through all the rooms.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. Could I get a roll call, please?
Commissioner Bianchi?
Yes.
Commissioner Carlson?
Yes.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes.
President Walt?
Yes. I need a motion and a second to rescind the approval of the purchase, including trade-in, from Friendly Ford of Roselle, Illinois for 2024 Ford F-350 through Sourcewell Co-op purchasing program in the amount of $72,626.03 made on March 14th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Could we have some clarification?
This is a first.
please?
So what happened when I sought approval from the board, I made a mistake when I wrote up the memo to include the total price, everything included. What I was specifically asking for was approval for the purchase of the truck through Friendly Ford for simply the amount of the truck. Staff found that we're better off acting as a middleman in this case to take the chassis over to
Castle?
where they outfit the truck, and then we'll pay for that on our own. Rather than pay Friendly Ford for the outfitting of the vehicle, we can do that on our own. I'm sorry, the name escapes me, but
The bag, so we bring the truck and chassis over. It's, I can't think of the name of the company that does it, but it's cheaper for us to do it that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do have a motion and a second, all right? Can I get a roll call, please?
Commissioner Carlson?
Yes.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes.
Commissioner Bianchi?
Yes.
President Walls?
Yes. I need a motion and a second for approval of the purchase, including a trade-in from Friendly Ford of Roselle, Illinois for 2024 Ford 350 through Sourcewell Co-op purchasing program in the amount of $49,899.03.
So moved.
Second.
What happened there?
I just got tired.
I was daydreaming.
Seems like we already have explanations, so roll call, please.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes.
Commissioner Bianchi?
Yes.
Commissioner Carlson?
Yes.
President Walls?
Yes. Minutes. I need a motion and a second to rescind the approval of purchase, including trade-in from Friendly Ford of Roselle, Illinois for 2024 Ford F-350 through Sourcewell Co-op purchasing program in amount of $72,126.03 made on March 14th, 2024. This is a total shell game with a red
Second.
ball in the middle. I can't follow where the red ball is. I have a motion in a second.
You do.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes.
Commissioner Biedke?
Yes.
Commissioner Carlson?
Yes.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Walls?
Yes, and I need a motion and a second approval for the purchase, including the trade-in from Friendly Ford of Roselle, Illinois for a 2024 Ford F-350 through Sourcewell Corporation Purchasing Program in the amount of $49,399.03.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Biedke?
Yes.
Commissioner Carlson?
Yes.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes.
President Walls?
Yes. Committee reports, capital projects, Commissioner Cook.
Yes, I met on August 15th with Mark and Ben, just to kind of go over, get an update on where we are standing with the capitals this year, and we reviewed where we are with all of the things, and we're on schedule, which is nice for all the different projects, and I think they updated the board in your packet with the capitals. We discussed the home run fence at Mead a little bit, just clarifying where it was at and when it would be done, if, and set it up for the agenda to vote on today. We also talked about setting up a transparency policy that Ben and staff is going to work on and present with the board as far as in the future, come up with a policy that we can all be on the same page and agree to when we should be communicating with the public, and so forth when we do the capitals, kind of a timeline so that we can avoid this type of stuff in the future, I guess, and better communicate with the public. We discussed the pickleball at the pavilion, different options there.
Agreed.
To bring to the board to see if they wanted to change over the courts or one of the courts at the pavilion. And what else did we do? Anything else I'm missing that we discussed? I think that was it.
I gave you a list.
And that ends my report.
Any questions for Commissioner Cook? Finance Committee, Commissioner Carlson.
Okay, tax collections were strong in July and outpaced the budget before the August 1st due date. This looks to correct in August. This will affect year-to-date versus year-to-date budget in funds that levy taxes. Brad, you want to?
Basically, people paid their property tax bills ahead of time, so Cook County did the distribution. A lot of it hit in July ahead of what I had scheduled for
Okay.
budget, so the numbers are, year-to-date numbers are gonna be inflated because we received more revenue than I anticipated.
Okay. Okay, so corporate fund, 1,615,440, the property tax collected in July. 169,746 in PPRT collected in July. All expense categories are under budget. Year-to-date of 3,280,761 compared to a budget of 1,871,464. Recreation fund, $732,092 in property tax collected in July. Fees and admissions, $1,794,892 compared to a budget of $1,714,065. Program fees were $1,707,075 compared to a budget of $1,709,336. All expense categories at or under budget except program contractual. And you want to explain that, Brad?
I think it's under budget for the year, it's just, or the annual budget, but right now it's just outpacing the year-to-date budget, so.
It's just the way billing cycles work sometimes when one carries over from last year into the next year, depending on how
Okay.
the classes fall.
Oh, okay, year-to-date of $1,529,533 compared to a budget of $120,728, so I'm assuming that's the taxes we got.
That'll be the property tax and then that note with the capitals.
Because that's kind of.
With the delay in the, fitness center project and stuff, we haven't paid out some of those bills, so that's affecting it as well, so.
Okay, golf fund, 6,784 rounds played in July, which is a lot. It's a lot. 26,192 rounds year-to-date compared to 23,721 last year. That's also great. Fees and admission, 988,867 compared to 753,221. All expense categories are at or near budget. Driving range year-to-date of 112,111 compared to a budget of 58,695. Year-to-date of 258,881 compared to a budget, now is this negative?
Yep.
Yeah, negative 250,536. A note is capital projects have been budgeted in golf fund, that have been budgeted in golf fund are affecting overall year-to-date numbers with 431,768 budgeted year-to-date, but only 265,194 spent year-to-date, contributing to a variance of 166,574 in actual versus budget. And that completes my report.
Any questions for Scott?
I will say this, I took the entire budget, I went page by page because I was on vacation, and I thought I'd like rip some categories. Seriously, other than aquatics, everything is great. You name whatever page it was, after school, the preschool, you know what, Pirates Cove, everything is going great, so it's really good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Committee of the whole, take it easy.
Ben's all excited over there.
Committee,
I was.
thank you.
Don't thank me.
I'll stop. Committee of the whole report, that is me. So last committee of the whole, we talked about pickleball, Alan was here. We talked about the tempered glass, and then between us, staff, and residents, we talked about mead, which we carried over to this one. And this committee of the whole, we talked about converting a tennis court at the pavilion to a pickleball court, a 5-year capital plan, and then Brad had some investment stuff, which you were, in fact, you were a little late at. And it's, has to do with taxpayer dollars, so I said we need to table it till the next one with all 5 of it. And it's important that all 5 of us are here for this one. Because we're not looking to do anything weird, just trying to look at something different. And if you're talking about that type of money, I would hope that all 5 of us could be here. So that's all I have, unless you have questions. Hearing, seeing none. Who's next? Shoot. Oh, I'm sorry. Athletic Committee, Commissioner Carlson again.
No report.
Thank you for that. Golf Course Committee, Commissioner O'Malley.
No report. Brad's working on scheduling a meeting with me and Scotty and staff, the 4 days, not all 4 days, but one day after Labor Day. 2 things I'd like to point out, though. Some of the driving range employees would still like to have human resources or staff look into potentially looking at the seasonal package of benefits, you know, that they feel that are longer than seasonal. I've discussed this in the past, so it's something that we can bring up at a committee of the whole, or we can talk on one-on-one, so that's just them speaking out loud. The other one is, I would announce, it's all probably, maybe I better ask Brad, because maybe it's not official, or Brad, Bob Simon? Do you know anything about Bob Simon?
No.
Then I'm not gonna speak about that then, so,
Is he
that's it.
okay?
Yes, to the best of my knowledge, he's fine, I just got some information, and,
Perfect.
we'll go from there.
Youth Committee, Commissioner Biedke.
No report.
Adult Committee, Commissioner Cook.
Yes, I went to the advisory board meeting on August 20th. They had the successful turnout for the casino luncheon on August 21st. 75 people attended. They didn't tell me how much they won, but they said it was a successful trip. Also, they had Under the Stars Senior Dance Night on August 28th. That's coming up in a few days. They got 35 signed up so far and opening for a total of 65. So there's 30 spots open if you want to sign up for that. September 6th, they have a trip to Valentino Winery trip. It's in Long Grove. September 11th, they're doing an I&M canal trip, and that's at Starved Rock. Rummage sale is coming up on September 13th and 14th. And then the 90th birthday celebration is on September 25th. They also are going to participate in the hometown parade on September 21st. And that's about, oh, and the membership is at all-time high at 315, so all is going well there at the Sheila Ray Center. And they're looking forward to the new cabinets we just approved here tonight, so they've been anxiously waiting for those, so.
Any questions for Commissioner Cook? Pavilion Committee, Commissioner O'Malley?
We did not meet. Tom and I will be scheduling a meeting in September through Tiffany. That ends my report.
Okay, any questions for Bill? All right, we're at old business, which we can run by because we've already done that, correct? Everybody agree? Yep. Discussion need homework prints. New business, adoption of resolution 2404, a resolution ratifying the recommended assessments by the Northwest Special Rec Association for the calendar 2025. I need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
And this was the one that was updated?
Yeah, this is, the dollar amount is $328,453.93 for the
Okay.
annual assessment for NWSRA.
I have a motion and a second, correct?
Yep.
Just a roll call, please.
Commissioner Carlson?
Yes.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes.
Commissioner Bianchi?
Yes.
President Walz?
Yes.
It didn't fit under old business, it didn't fit under new business, but there's a rumor going around that the Secretary of Travel Baseball is not being copied in on communication for whatever reason, and if that's true, it needs to stop, Ben, so can you look into that situation? That's it.
Sounds good. Payment of the bills. I need a motion and a second for July 2024 P cards in the amount of 109,000, excuse me. July 24 P cards in the amount of $190,905. August 9th, 2024 in the amount of $434,892.46. And August 16th, 2024 in the amount of $93,555.89.
Can you repeat that?
I can, if need be.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes.
Commissioner Bianchi?
Yes.
Commissioner Carlson?
Yes.
President Walz?
Yes. I need a motion and a second to adjourn to closed session for the purpose of discussing personnel per 2C1, litigation per 2C11, and for conducting a semi-annual review of closed session minutes per 2C21.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner O'Malley?
Yes, Francis.
Commissioner Bianchi?
Yes.
Commissioner Carlson?
Yes.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
President Walz?
Yes. This is adjourned.
Meeting the